Is your 18-month-old starting to hit and bite? Do you find your 2-year-old kicking more? And do you want to know where and how you should draw the line for this type of behavior? So the big question is this: how do we navigate through the mountain of overwhelming, often contradictory, and sometimes false parenting information we find online? What parenting information should you believe and apply, and what should you reject? That is the big question, and in this podcast, we will help you understand what underlies your child's behavior and explain how to react in a way that favors your child's optimal development. I'm Alexandra Scherzer, and welcome to the Wise Parenting Podcast. So today we are talking about toddlers and aggression. If you have a toddler or know a toddler, I'm sure you've noticed them hitting or kicking, and so we're going to go over why this happens, if it's normal, and what you can do about it. So what happens around 18 months old in toddlers?
This is the approximate age when babies enter into toddlerhood, a new developmental stage. During this stage, they develop a sense that they are a separate person. Until about 18 months old, babies don't realize that they are separate people. So, at about this age, the brain develops in such a way as to push the child to develop into an autonomous person. It's as though the brain is saying, hey, you're not part of her. You're you, and you'll have to protect yourself. So start doing things now to be ready for the future. So what does this mean? It means that your toddler starts to say no, starts to resist you, starts to do the opposite of what you say. It also means that your toddler may start to hit, to bite, and to kick. Hitting, biting, and kicking are normal behaviors in this stage. This aggressive behavior is in our genes because humans needed to be aggressive to survive as a species, to fight off predators, to fight off rival tribes. Her brain says to her, fight, win, be aggressive, survive. So she fights you when you want to put her into the car seat. And our limits have to be concrete, clear, consistent, and explained in a way that your child can understand and remember them. However, as much as adults today are no longer fighting off predators, they need and rely on this innate fight, win, be aggressive, survive behavior in order to survive. Today, it manifests itself more as getting ahead in school, competing to get a job, to be competitive in sports, etc. We need to be assertive in order to succeed and get ahead in the world. I want to be clear and say it again. Her brain is pushing her to do all these things that you find so irritable. She is not deliberately setting out to annoy you. It may be hard to believe, but the height of these survival instincts emerges between 18 and 24 months. The kicking, biting, hitting are generally on the wane by the age of 3. If you have a child in this stage or past this stage, you'll be likely to be able to relate to all of this. Again, I want to underline that it is a normal behavior and parents should expect it.
So if it's a normal behavior and parents should expect it, should parents allow it, or what should they do?
No, parents shouldn't allow it. They shouldn't allow their child to hit, bite, or kick them. But it is essential that this brain development at such a young age be preserved, because we will need it at many times in our lives. She or he will need it at many times in their lives to defend herself and be aggressive. What we have to do is help the child to use this brain development in a way that is acceptable in 2019. We don't want them hitting, biting, and kicking to express their fight to win. We want them to express it in a different way. What parents have to do is gently stop this behavior. How they stop it is what's so important. They have to stop the behavior gently, often by holding the child, speaking calmly, and offering an alternative. Just because the behavior is essential to normal development and is expected doesn't mean you must accept it. Your limits have to be concrete, clear, consistent, and explained in a way that your child can understand them and remember them. Before I get into a concrete example about what parents should do when faced with this aggressive behavior, let me tell you why the way in which you control this aggressive behavior is so important.
Okay, very good. So now we know that this aggressive behavior is normal. It's part of our development as humans. It's in our genes, and it must come out as we grow into adults, and the time that it does come out is around 18 months old. So why is the way in which parents handle this aggression and this aggressive behavior so important in the long run?
As in so many other stages in child development, this stage, the stage where your child develops into an autonomous individual who wants to protect himself, stand up for himself, and get ahead, is so crucial to healthy development. What does this mean? It means that because this stage is so crucial to her psychological development, that how you choose to parent is unbelievably important. If you can have the enormous patience that this stage requires, then she will most likely grow up to be an autonomous person who can control herself and can have a say in what happens in situations that she finds herself in. It means that she will not be full of self-doubt and full of shame that she's doing the wrong thing. It means that she will be fairly sure of herself as a child in elementary and in high school. It will decrease the chances of her being bullied, and it means that she will have greater self-confidence as an adult.
So back to the main question of today. How should parents handle this stage with their toddlers?
Your goal is to help her find acceptable ways to express her anger, her need to fight, her need to win, or any other strong feelings. Basically, parents have to stop the aggressive behavior and set limits, but in a loving, firm way.
So let's get into an actual example. How should a parent react if their child hits them?
So the first thing is to stop the behavior by either holding her hand or putting yourself out of reach. Then you set your limit. Your limits have to be concrete, clear, consistent, and explained in a way that your child can understand them and remember them. And you have to remember that she is often less than 2 years old. First, tell her gently that she shouldn't hit you. This is your limit. Speaking with patience can be difficult for many parents in such a situation, but speaking gently has great consequences. One consequence is that it helps her to calm down and actually listen to you. And another is that you are showing her how you handle your anger and frustration, so she sees another way to do it. Then, after setting your limit, you ask your child to show you or tell you what is making her angry and upset. And if she doesn't speak well enough yet, you can speak for her. This is how you help her to find a solution to her problem, essentially by expressing herself in acceptable words. Within all of this, you should empathize with her feelings, validate how she feels with your tone of voice, or even expressing that you understand that it is upsetting not to have ice cream when you feel like having some ice cream, for example. This will again help her to calm down and listen to what you are saying. Here, you can repeat your limit. Say again, but you mustn't hit me. And then as a bonus, you can help her to look ahead with positivity. Say that she can have ice cream another time. Say that you will come back the next day for ice cream, whatever fits the context.
Okay, so first we stop the behavior and set our limit. We also empathize and explain how she could express her negative feelings better. And you mentioned to parent in a loving, firm way. So what does this mean exactly?
It means that you don't get angry and aggressive in return. I'll repeat this, that this takes an enormous amount of patience, understanding, and knowledge. You want to show her what you want her to do, because she's going to do what you do, not what you tell her to do, if it isn't backed up by your behavior. On the other hand, if you get angry, not only are you contradicting what you're telling her, but she's developing feelings of shame and doubt about her own reactions and behavior. Behavior, that I will repeat, is really brain pushed. So if you want her to become an autonomous, self-assured adult who can handle her negative feelings well in a productive way, the way to get there is by being patient and kind and showing her how to handle these normal human feelings in an acceptable way.
So why would she feel shame and doubt, as you say, if you were to lose your temper after she hits or bites?
Well, her brain is pushing her to act in a certain way, so she does. Then she's punished by you screaming or at her or hitting her. So she becomes full of shame and doubt. She feels bad about herself, bad about what she's doing, and unsure of what to do. This is the only behavior she knows. It's the only behavior she knows because her strong emotions are making her act out in this way. And with your aggressive modeling, this is all she sees. Strong punishment has two possible major effects. The first is that it might make her lose her inborn ability to fight and defend herself. If you want her to grow up to be able to assert herself and find ways to achieve her goals, you must not crush the inborn innate need to bite, kick, and hit. You have to redirect it, as I explained in this podcast, not kill it. Punishment, screaming, degrading, making her feel ashamed in response to her inborn behavior may, in fact, kill it. The second possible effect of strong punishment is that it will make her into an extremely aggressive person. This trait may not be expressed in the presence of powerful, potentially punitive parents, but it will be expressed against other people. Again, I'll repeat that parenting isn't easy, and this time with your toddler is a very trying time. Even the most patient of parents have trouble maintaining their calm in the face of being kicked, hit, or bitten. And I don't say this lightly. It's really difficult to remain calm and handle these situations with our eye and our minds on the long-term consequences when we are being smacked in the immediate. I often say that knowledge is very helpful. It is part of the foundation of wise parenting. The more you know about what is going on developmentally with your child, and the more you know about how parenting may affect your child in the long run, the more patient and understanding you can have for the millions of challenging situations you will face.
So, in conclusion, if you have a baby who will be a toddler soon, or if you have a toddler today and are listening to this, then I'm sure that you can relate on some level to an increase in aggressive behavior during this time. Even quote-unquote easy kids go through a rougher patch at this age, and I'll admit, speaking from my experience, I'm an overall patient person, but there have been times that I can't seem to keep my calm. This aggressive behavior in the midst of a life with a toddler, when you're often cleaning up spills, messes, trying to get out the door on time, trying to prevent a meltdown, etc., 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 is a very trying time. But knowing more about how our reaction as parents to our toddler may affect him has definitely helped us to find ways to keep our cool, even in the midst of utter chaos. And so I hope that knowing more about the long-term consequences of how you react during the terrible twos to negative behavior, such as hitting, biting, and kicking, will help you as well find ways to control your negative emotions. We hope that you found today's podcast helpful. Come say hi on social. Our Facebook and Instagram accounts are at Dr. Solomon's Wisdom, all one word. You can subscribe to the Wise Parenting Podcast on any podcast app, including Spotify, the Apple and Google podcast apps, or wherever you listen. Parenting advice keeps changing on us, depending on what you read and who you listen to. This is making parents feel like they're doing a bad job. And worst of all, many parents today don't know who to trust for what is probably the most important job they'll ever have. So if you're the parent of a young child and you would like to feel clearer, more confident, and more at ease about your parenting decisions, then the Wise Parenting Academy can help you get there. With on-demand access to foundation lectures and seminars in digital, print, and audio, as well as exclusive one-on-one guidance from Dr. Solomon, the Wise Parenting Academy is the perfect next step to building the best long-term outcomes for your child. Come check us out at thewiseparentingacademy.com. Thank you for listening, and we hope you will join us again.